Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa. We're talking happy, healthy holidays. I'm so excited to welcome mental health expert and eating disorder advocate. There we go, Dr. Linda Labrie. Thank you so much for being with us today.
I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you
so much. So tell us, how can people stay in a healthy, self-loving mode for the holidays?
Well, I think it first starts with, as the gentleman said earlier, really trying to center yourself and look at the support in your lives, your families, people that love you, that care about you, and that you have a relationship with and are there to help you. If that is not a part of your life, I'm here to tell you today that there is help available for you. And that's really what our organization is all about, especially at this particular time of year when people, as was mentioned earlier, feel as though, okay, I need to be happy, I have to have it together, everything's going to be wonderful, it's going to be a picture-perfect Christmas. And that isn't always the case for most people. And we are here to help. We really do take families and adults where their lives are in chaos, and they've talked to their mother, their brother, their sister, the man behind the butcher. You know, they've talked to everyone about their problems, and they really have not found a solution or a resolution to how to, move forward. And that's what Adolescent Growth and Growth Extended are all about. We're here to really give you a hand up and help you in that regard.
Got it.
Dr. Linda, so many patients who are struggling, though, have not told their mother, sister, brother, butcher about their problems, and they're struggling in secret, especially around the holidays. What are some of the warning signs that we as friends and family can look for somebody who's struggling both with eating disorders or their mental health?
That's a very, very good question. I think really what is a forerunner to identifying some of those issues would be, number one, when you see change in behavior. For instance, if you see a student or a young person that was actively involved in school, grades were fairly good, they're functioning pretty much day to day, and all of a sudden there's a change in that behavior where they're becoming more withdrawn, they appear sullen, sad, they're cutting off friendships, they're starting to isolate, and then you may see with eating disorders, a change in their behavior. Sometimes it becomes somewhat ritualistic in that they only want to eat certain kinds of foods, or they only want to start eating breakfast and maybe skipping lunch and dinner, or they're continuously eating. That's also a giveaway. And as it's been mentioned on your panel here already, eating disorders spans itself with men, women, children, adolescents. I mean, it really is a problem in our society today, and I think much of it starts with self-esteem. And there is, especially in the United States, there's a lot of demand on us as how we move forward in our lives to be successful and to be creative and to find our way. And, not everyone moves at the same pace.
Right. I have a question for you, because I had bulimia from the time I was 17. And for me, when I was healing, I probably couldn't have been around all the junk food. Like, I had to, at some point in time, kind of like have a safe space. So how do you think families could handle that? Like, how can they create a safe space for somebody that's struggling? It's like having an alcoholic and having booze right in front of them, right? You kind of want to be a safe space for them. How do you handle that? How could someone handle that as a family?
I think really, for the most part, when you're dealing with an adolescent who does have an eating disorder, and you're in a family where there is concern and love and compassion for that person, I think by really talking to them in a way that you're hopefully going to reach them, and if you're not, then you could definitely get help. But I think that it's important to be able to first be able to talk about it, and then there are safeguards. I mean, it's just like alcohol. With alcohol, you can set it aside, or drugs, you can set those aside in your treatment. But with food, it's a whole different animal. You have to take that out 3 or 4 times a day and learn how to manage that in a way that is going to be healthy and also wholesome, and it's going to have to mirror what it is that you want that young adolescent to do. So many times families can be very instrumental in helping with the adolescent who does have an eating disorder. But we deal with eating disorders that are now not, let's say, an obsession, but they have become a compulsion. Now the eating disorder is so out of control that they don't have the option of not doing it, of not binging and purging, of not restricting, of not overeating. And these disorders really grow to insurmountable feats where it's extremely difficult to gain control over those behaviors unless you really seek specialized treatment. And
So,
really,
so
that's
what I'm hearing,
what we
just
are.
to reiterate for someone listening, because just to saying is that as a family can kind of help mentor that, but if it's so bad that someone just cannot, like they need to go seek help if they can't be in an environment where they can't monitor it.
Because with an obsession, you have an obsession where you're wanting to restrict and binge and purge. And there's a starvation deprivation phase that goes along with that. It's Pavlov's theory, very easy. The dog is starving. You bring out the bowl, he smells the food, or rings the bell, immediately he knows he's going to salivate and start to eat. There's no threshold because there's a starvation portion of us with our brain that says, I want to eat. So you're going to salivate and you're going to eat until you're completely full, and then you feel as though you want to purge. That's because your cues are off, your impulses, your impulse control is off, and it becomes a compulsion where you don't have control over it. It's just, it now becomes an instinct, that's a behavior that's being reinforced, and it's biochemical. And that's why it's so important to really seek the help that you need.
Yes, makes sense.
Questions. So let's say there's somebody out there and they've identified a concern that they have for somebody that they care about and that they love. How can they speak to that person in a way that keeps their mind and their heart open and doesn't trigger them, so they can at least explore the opportunity for that person to get help?
I think communication is probably the most essential factor in touching and healing and helping an individual that is in need, because so often as a parent we want to run to help, and in doing so sometimes we don't stop to listen. And I think it's so important to just be there and to try and be empathetic and really connect with that person in a way that maybe they need to be connected, to be held, or to be soothed, really. And once I think that they feel that connection with you, many times, even with our own patients, they really just open up. They really feel a sense of, this is a safe haven. This is where I can be to really, I know that no one's going to judge me, no one's going to think less of me, because it's a very difficult situation to deal with mental illness. Most families really don't know how to deal with mental illness. It's unfortunate to say. And I really think the most important thing that the message that I want to convey today is that I want to give you hope. Because we deal with families that they have exhausted every possibility, and they feel as though, you know, they're just so afraid, they're so fearful, and so is the person that's suffering.
Yeah.
And
Well, we could, I mean, there's so many questions, and I know so many people, it's a big thing during the holidays for sure. So tell people where they can find you, where they can learn more about your work.
We deal with adolescents from ages 12 to 17, and that is our facility. We have several facilities in the Los Angeles basin, but we under adolescent growth, and then growth extended. We also deal with adults, and we deal with mental illness, chemical dependency, and we specifically have eating disorder facilities that are designed just for eating disorders.
Great.
Fantastic.
Thank you,
for your
Dr.
work.
Linda. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Stay
Thank you
tuned.
so
We'll be
much.
back with more on Good Morning La La Land.